Hello, hello.
Hey there, welcome everybody. Great to see you. Looks like we've got a small number of people here. There's still some people coming in, I can see from what okay, so just to tell everybody, this session is being recorded, so we're expecting it's an interesting phenomenon, these online conferences, how people have fallen to the asynchronous mode more than anything else. So this is a kind of a welcome session. So my name is Bill Cope. I've been involved in these conferences since the beginning. I've been involved in Common Ground since its beginning, and I work at the University of Illinois. And I particularly want to welcome two of our research network folks, Rafal and Marcin. So very great to have you here. I know you're at the conference in person as well, so it's great to have you attending this online session for the people who are here now in the synchronous session, but also the people who will view this recording later on. So look, a quick introduction about the conference, and then I'll actually hand over to Rafal and Marcin to say a few words as well. In fact, what we've done is we've put two conferences together, and as folks know, we've been through this COVID catastrophe for the last few years, and we're back now to having in person. And one of the legacies that we have of the COVID period is that we intend going forward to have a blended conference. So in terms of the two conferences which we've put together for this year, and I think we're putting them together for next year as well. We have about 150 in-person people attending and about 100 online, which is interesting. And one of the things we're discovering is, firstly, we don't have as many people wanting to travel as before. There's people have all sorts of reasons why there are fewer people traveling, but the 100 people who are online are many people who might not have been able to travel anyhow, no matter what. So it's a new kind of group, and the challenge is blended's always a challenge. Does one group feel like it's left out? And so I'm really glad to hear that to see that both of our research network chairs have come to this session. That's really wonderful that you've done that. So I'm going to ask each of the chairs to say a little bit about the conference, their involvement and the ideas in this year's special theme. And Rafal, you happen to be closest to me in my tile, so I might start with you.
Oh, thanks a lot, William. Welcome to this 15th Global Studies Conference, and I'm delighted that we can see so many delegates in this blended mode. And I believe that if there is anything positive that came out of this COVID-19 pandemic, it's probably our use of the tools of communication and tools of participation for people who are not necessarily in place for events like this conference. Right. And I know these tools perhaps have existed prior to the pandemic, but without COVID, we probably wouldn't have refined them and embraced them as quickly and effectively as we have done. I am delighted to be co-chairing this conference together with Marcin. And to just say very few words about myself, I'm a political scientist working in the area of global studies, and I'm professor of international politics at Richmond, which is a liberal arts university in American University in London. Should I talk a little bit about the special theme of the conference? Okay.
Yes, please do. Yes.
The conference this year revolves around global crises and what to make of them. So it tries to put some positive spin on those crises, as I have already done with regards to the pandemic. and how it facilitated new modes of communication. I think when deciding on this particular focus, we had in mind especially the long financial crisis, which Greece, where the on-site conference is taking place, has experienced in a particularly dramatic and also particularly protracted way. And also, of course, the COVID-19 crisis that has destabilized our lives on so many levels. And while fortunately the COVID-19 pandemic seems for now to be largely abated, I mean, depending where you look, it's not over yet, but we are in a better place than we were some time ago. We are unfortunately faced with a new calamity, that is to say, the war in Ukraine, which, regardless of its dramatic implications for Ukraine, also has a global dimension with rising food prices, causing famine in the poorest parts of the world, and the energy crisis affecting even the richest places on the planet. So that's another crisis. And of course, hanging over us is the climate crisis. I have just arrived in Athens. I flew here from London, and Athens seems to be cool and breezy in comparison with the 41 degrees Celsius that we had in London yesterday and the day before, in a city that's completely not adapted to those kinds of temperatures. It was an all-time record. So altogether, faced with all those crises, it's, I think, quite difficult to be optimistic. And yet, we have to be optimistic, and yet we have to keep planning for a better world. And I think there is no better platform for this than the Global Studies Research Network, the conference that we are just opening, and also the associated journal. They provide this very rich environment to exchange ideas. Global studies is after all a multidisciplinary field and open to many different points of views and perspectives. And I think it's our job, in a way, as well as the pleasure that we'll get from this conference, to see what the synergies are, and where a dialogue is possible, where perhaps some creative disagreement can be had as well. So I hope that the crises are often the points of departure for creative solutions. We have this fantastic platform, and the conference this year seems particularly promising. I mean, there are several plenary sessions, there are over 150 paper presentations, and additionally, there will be garden conversations, which will facilitate engagement with our plenary speakers, talking circles, which will allow participants to discuss issues arising from the conference, the issues that are of particular interest to them. I've seen papers concerning lessons from the pandemic and the strategies to tackle future global health crises, papers on rising nationalisms and how to respond to them, on right-wing populisms and the so-called post-truth politics, papers on neoliberalism and its discontent, papers on rampant social inequality and the way to address it, and papers on principles of an equitable climate change mitigation. Plenty of food for thought, and this is just a selection of topics that I mentioned. There are others on resistance to racism, to sexism, to classism, and other forms of oppression. There are papers concerned with social movements as drivers of social change, which is particularly interesting to myself. So I'm not going to talk. I've already been talking for a bit too long, I think. but I am very grateful to all who have made this conference possible. Our host at the University of Athens, the fantastic Common Ground team, our plenary speakers, my co-chair, Marcin, but most importantly, I want to thank all participants joining us both remotely and here in Athens. You are really the reason we are here. So thanks a lot, and I wish you all an enjoyable conference. Thank you. William, we can't hear
Marcin,
you.
would you like to say a few words too, Marcin, if you'd like to? I can see you were there a minute ago. Would you like to say something?
His connection may have dropped because he was there. Yeah,
he was there a second ago. Okay. Well, look, the other thing we do in this session is
there he is, I think.
There he is. Okay. Marcin, would you like to say a few words?
He's frozen, so obviously connection issue.
Marcin, as the co-chair, would you like to say a few words?
I'm sorry.
Might be having internet connections. Okay. All right. Well, look, if you do manage to get on, just jump in, Marcin. Let me just say a couple of things about the format of the conference. Again, it's this blended idea, which is we're trying to ask the people who are in person at the conference to upload digital media if they possibly can. That might be a PowerPoint, but even better if it's a Zoom recording of your presentation. That's to give people who are online full access. The other thing that we ask as well is, there are certain advantages in this online format. One is that, in a normal session, there's just a few minutes where you've got to speak and usually only one or two questions, but everyone can comment. So one of the requests we make to everybody, whether they're in person or online, is don't leave one of the pages without leaving a comment, right? There's the possibility of extended discussion. And even if the other person is not there at the moment, which almost invariably they won't be, it will trigger an email to them, which will provide them a link to come back if they'd like to continue the discussion. So that's one of the advantages of this particular format that we have now. And also it means that we have an ongoing record, not just in the journal, but an ongoing record of the presentations as well, which is one of these, we're making the most of all these changes that have been forced upon us. And I might say the Common Ground team has worked very hard over the last couple of years to build this online platform, which is a platform that we've built ourselves, actually. So that's it's been a real achievement and a lot of work for the Common Ground team in that time. So what I'd like to do now, if people are able to do this, is go around the room, go around the Zoom tiles, and get the other people who are here in this session briefly to introduce themselves. And if you're presenting, while you're talking, while you're introducing yourself, Kayla will find the link to your particular session and pop it in the chat so people can follow up with the actual session if they'd like. So I'm going to go around the room, and the next person in my Zoom tiles is Jim Proctor from Lewis and Clark College. How are you, Jim?
There, Bill, and everybody. It's great to see you. I was waiting for an opportunity to actually see and do something live at this conference. And so here we go. My name is Jim Proctor. I'm a geographer, and I'm a professor of environmental studies at Lewis and Clark College, which is on the US West Coast in Oregon, Portland, Oregon. And actually, I can chat out my session, Kayla, if you wish. It's right there. And I'm worried that people won't find it because we're one of those asynchronous online sessions that they may or may not decide to discover on the online tab within the conference schedule. So please check out our presentations. There's been some issues with some of my presenters uploading the presentation, so there may be more comments I'll post in the discussion board that may link to other means by which you can access those others. My overview presentation is theirs, and then two of the substantive presentations, including mine and a colleague, Aideen Foley from Birkbeck University of London, are present. But ours is about environmental heterodoxy. Heterodoxy was my understanding of the theme of at least the ISS component of this conference. And difference is very important in the context of environmental studies, where I think for kind of reasons, understandable political reasons of solidarity, people love to talk about their oneness. And everyone out there as, of course, being rather benighted and in need of conversion. And I'm trying to approach this differently by suggesting there is a great deal of internal heterogeneity, difference, heterodoxy within environmentalism. That's what this session is about, and it uses a platform I've developed called Ecotypes. Our main reason for participating in this conference, by the way, is to invite you to collaborate with us. I will be presenting with international collaborators from UK, France, and India, and we would love to add others. So that's my quick introduction. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jim. And in terms of the issues that Rafael just listed, this is one of the ones obviously absolutely top of the list. I might say, just taking the link, there have been 168 people in the conference who've been to your page already. One of the challenges we've got is people go and they look at things, but they don't necessarily stay and comment. So we've actually been trying to figure out, well, how do we build incentives for people to actually engage? I mean, I think, people in this web environment are used to being viewers of things as opposed to engaging. So, but look, it's encouraging anyhow that the conference is only just beginning and you've already had 168 of the participants who've been to your page. So, but let's hope we can get some more engagement. So thank you very much for being here, Jim, and for dealing with these very, very important issues. Rafael, you were going to say something.
Yes, just wanted to clarify, Jim, thanks a lot for introducing your research and your paper. I'm personally very interested in this area, but just to clarify that the theme issue, we are running these two conferences together, and heterodoxies, but I think they work extremely well together, and I see heterodoxy as a kind of necessary response to the crises and the problems that they have caused, right? We certainly cannot follow just the old orthodox paths. We need to look for new creative solutions, and so I think the two themes will work very well together, and Martin wasn't able to introduce the theme of his conference due to technical issues. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
So just to clarify, let me just remove this hand. Hopefully so I can do this.
The next person I have moving across my Zoom tiles is Ruth. Ruth, would you like to introduce yourself briefly? Okay, maybe she's having microphone problems. Maybe there's computer problems. So, all right, I'll move on from Ruth. We'll come back to you. And the next one I have is Alex Blocker. Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hi, I'm wonderful. And I just want to first off thank you and Rafael and the other organizers for this innovative format. It certainly makes it easier for me being in Massachusetts to attend. So I'm a master's student in conflict resolution at Brandeis University near Boston. And in addition, I also mediate lawsuits assigned by the Boston courts. But my presentation is on a more international level, drawing from an internship I did years ago working at a human rights organization in Malaysia. And I had arrived there just as this issue of human trafficking by Malaysian immigration agents with assistance from gangs in Thailand was really under the microscope. And for me, as someone who is not going to stay in academia professionally, but rather is looking at, where I may fit best in terms of working in government or civil society, like I had before my master's degree. This research was an opportunity for me to see just how can people make an impact on a crisis like modern day slavery, or others that civil society is working on. And I hope that kind of with the surprising results I found about how essentially one staffer in the US Senate was, I won't say single-handedly, but almost able to have an impact on this issue of human trafficking in Malaysia, more so than most of Malaysian and international civil society had in approximately the 4 years before that. What lessons from what this individual did can civil society learn and adopt to increase its own influence when impacting government? And I look forward to uploading my electronic media sometime in the next few hours. I apologize, I was mediating just a few minutes before this, but that will be up soon.
Okay, wonderful. And look at these what you've just mentioned sounds like a inspiring example of the possibility of change. Even one small people can have small interventions can have significant changes. So it's a very nice example of that. And I can see you've had 57 people on your page already. So we're waiting for the digital media. So do get it up when you can. That would be great. Now the next one, and Marcin, you've probably seen the comment. He's having internet trouble. Yeah, that's no problem. This makes sense. Okay, the next person that we have across the Zoom tiles is Domingo Carbonero. How are you, Domingo? Are you there and able to speak? Okay, I can't hear you yet, but we can come back to you if you do manage to get through. And likewise, Kayla, if you can find Domingo's, if he's presenting a link, you can put it in there, whether he manages to get back online or not. We'll come back to you, Domingo. Now, the next one I have is Eleni Nyora. Okay, there's Domingo's presentation there, which I'll just mention briefly, which is Student Perceptions of Poverty, Implication of Community Practice from a COVID-19 Pandemic Lens. So yes, that's obviously a very important topic too. 93 engagements so far, which is encouraging. So let's see, Eleni, are you able to speak? Have you got there you go. Hi, Eleni, you need to unmute. Oh,
Good evening.
Yeah, there we go. We can hear you now.
Hello, everyone. I'm an emerging scholar and a postgraduate student in folklore studies at National Kapodistrian University of Athens. And it's the first time I'm participating. I'm very glad about it. And I would like to cooperate and be helpful with anything. I'm very happy to hear you all.
Great, wonderful. I can see
Thank
you
you
in
so
a car.
much.
That's one of the things about the online world. We connect from all sorts of places. And just to mention with everybody, the emerging scholars play a tremendously important role. They're people who we assign roles at the conference. So they're people who are, doing new work, who are new initiates in the field, and we give them a free registration in return for them being involved. And they gain a lot from it, usually. It's a really great experience. So welcome, Eleni. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
The next person I can see is, if I pronounce this correctly, Sujata Chowdhury.
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Hi there.
Good evening. Good evening. I am Sujata Chowdhury. I represent a trust which is located in Kolkata, India. Now, this year is a very special year for us because this is the 75th year of India's independence. And my paper actually focuses on the displaced people who were displaced as a result of partition of India. So 1947 marked dual reality. One is independence of India, and the second is partition, which led to mass scale migration and displacement.
Right.
So what I was trying to do is that we have studied a lot in India as well as in other parts of the world regarding population which migrated as a result of partition at the macro level. We did the study at the macro level, partition studies at macro level, but at micro level, we did not do much. At least in India, we did not do much. So therefore, my purpose was to collect the oral testimonies of a generation which is fading very fast, because we have interviewed about 80 people of that generation who are above the age of 80, and the number is fast declining. And because of pandemic, all the more it was very difficult to contact them and to collect their memories. Right. But then we could, through online questionnaires and other things we could, and I felt that it is the purpose of, as citizens of the world, it is our duty to remember this generation which is fast fading and the traumas they underwent. And many of them are still not reconciled to the realities of partition and have a lot of traumatic experience so far as their displacement is concerned. So therefore, I felt that we need to instill this or disseminate this information amongst the youth in particular, so that they know that what was the contribution of this generation to the making of the nation.
Right. Of course, that experience, partition experience in different forms as being all around the world, is the experience of many of the current crises that we're living through as well. So that's tremendously important work. So welcome, and good to see you here. And I can see there have been 79 people to your page already. So let's hope I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in that as a generalizable issue. Okay, and welcome next to Chuck Cooper. Hi, Chuck. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm going to keep my video off because the internet here is a bit shaky, but great to meet you all. So I'm actually not an academic. I'm a publisher with Taylor and Francis's F1000 open access platform, and I focus on humanities and social sciences. So I'm basically just here to have a look around, see what sort of topics are being discussed, and try and build up some interesting contacts which we could collaborate with in the future.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're a publisher too, so we don't want to be in competition. So while you're there, Chuck, have a talk to Philip Kalantzis-Cope. We're building a platform, new models and new platforms for doing exactly the same work. So it'd be nice to be able to collaborate. So welcome to the conference there, Chuck, and do speak to Philip about to see whether there might be some parallels or collaborations that we could get involved in. So yes, okay, great. I've published a fair bit with Taylor and Francis too, so I know about you. I've got a book proposal in at the moment, to be quite frank. So okay, the next one that we have going across the tiles is Gad Marcus. Hi there, Gad. How are you? I can't hear you yet. Maybe it's, you know, the problematic internet again. Well, look, now, is there anybody else who hasn't spoken who would like to speak? Thank you, Kayla, for putting in that link to Gad Marcus's session, who's from the University of Haifa in Israel, Philosophical Roots of Interdisciplinary Education. And of course, education is in its nature an interdisciplinary kind of business. That's a whole story all of its own. So, okay, so look, let me just reiterate a couple of things. Again, you know, we have kind of, oh, there's somebody else just coming in now, but maybe, let me just see. I'll let them in, but I'll talk for a little while and then see if they want to contribute. Yes, so look, I want to say a couple of things about the way this network works. So one is the conference is a networking exercise, and now we have this blended model as well. Even if you're presenting in person, please put digital media in there, and please, everybody, don't leave a page with a presentation without writing some sort of a comment. You know, the interaction is very important in these online environments. I don't, you know, people tend to be passive to read things as opposed to interact. So we're trying to find ways to, at the moment, we're just pleading with people to interact. So please do that. And the other thing is, of course, it's part of a peer process where we produce journal articles, which is building systematic peer-reviewed knowledge. Carla, could you drop into the chat the link to the bookstore, the Common Ground bookstore? So one of the aspects of the research network, oh, there's two bookstores, by the way, it's Global Studies and Interdisciplinary Social Sciences. So one of the aspects of this process is building formal knowledge. So please, you know, everyone who's part of the network has access to all the historical material, which is both books and journal articles. It's now a lot of material over the years has built up. So please do use that. And one of the ways to honor other people's work is to, you know, if you've got a good idea or there's an idea there that you find interesting, please cite that work. So yes, thanks for the first link there. So the first link is to the, I'm just pulling the link now to the, I'll pull up the second one while I'm at it. So the first one is to the Interdisciplinary Social Sciences, where in fact we published 2,500 works there, which includes 29 books, and the rest are made up of journal articles. So there's a lot of material there, and we encourage you to use the advanced search, which is actually quite, see the advanced search button there, which is quite an effective way to get into something that, you know, whatever you're interested in, there's sure to be somebody else interested in something similar if you work through the advanced search function. So please use that material, please cite it. And in the case of the global, that's Interdisciplinary Societies, in case of the global studies one, it hasn't come up for me yet. Let me just see which one that is. That's 268, 220. I'll pull it up now. No, it's not coming up. Now it's coming up. Yes, the Global Studies Journal, we've got 615 pieces of work that we've published over the years in the 10 books and a number of items in the journal as well. So same applies. Please use that material if that's the network that you've connected with. Okay, I just, Georgia, hey Carly, I can see you've just joined us in this session. Would you like to, I'll put you on the spot. Would you like to introduce yourself briefly to the group?
Hello.
Yeah, hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So sorry, we've been around introductions with everybody else, so you'll have to get the other introductions, you're going to have to watch the recording later. But
okay.
but would you like to just say briefly who you are, and if you're presenting, Kayla, at the conference, I don't know whether you are or not, Kayla will find it.
I'm presenting about the legend of La Llorona, and its presence today and tomorrow, tomorrow midday. And I'm postgraduate student in the University of Athens, in the Capodistrian University of Athens. I'm a storyteller and a philologist.
Excellent. Well, wonderful to have you at the conference. And the plea I've made to everybody else is, even though you're presenting in person, do, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough, do make a recording and put it in there for the online people. So that might be just putting in a PowerPoint, or it might be sitting on Zoom and doing a voiceover over a PowerPoint. But it would be great if you could put a digital version of your presentation in there for the people who are.
Yes, I was going to ask, because I got the email and I didn't know what to do for the digital.
So if you're in person, the people at the registration desk will be able to help you, either Tatiana or Tamsin or Tamara. They'll all be able to help you upload it. It's not terribly hard once you've done it the first time. So if you've got something, they'll help you with that. So anyhow, look, I think we've now covered all most of the issues. So I hope you have for those online people and the in-person people. And by the way, for the online people, we'll leave the comments open for about a week or so. I think that's correct, Kayla, isn't it? The amount of time that we leave.
Yeah, I think a few days or a week.
A few days, yes. So we try and keep it kind of roughly synchronous, but the digital media will be available to everybody indefinitely as a resource. So yeah, that's really the end for me. Rafael, would you like to have a few final words before we close off this session?
Well, I think I can just say that I look forward to reading the papers and looking at the presentations, and equally to the on-site and online conference. It's great again to see you guys, and enjoy the rest of this event of the conference that's promising to be very intellectually enriching and diverse.
And by the way, folks,
sorry if I got frozen because I see.
Yeah, I think we all got a bit frozen. So yes, and by the way, folks, the conference next year is going to be at Oxford Brookes University. It was supposed to be there during the pandemic, and we've gone back to we're going to be there in person next year, as well as this blended model. So Oxford Brookes University in the United Kingdom. Okay, well, look, thank you, everybody.
And the theme there, if I can just mention that the theme there will be agency in an era of change, which links well with some of the proposals we've heard about here and some others that I saw in the program. So can work very well in terms of projects developing over time. And yeah.
Okay, folks.
So
well, look,
please save the date.
Have a wonderful conference, whether you're asynchronous or synchronous, whether you're in person or online. I hope it's a wonderful experience for you. So, and great to see you all today. Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you, William.
Bye.